Okay.
We're live!
Well, all right. I'm glad this guy's got enthusiasm.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Godfrey Bay with the Edge of Jazz right here in Salt Lake City, Utah. We are at the Behive Cigar Weekend hosting. Is this a new cigar? Tell me something about it.
Okay, so the brand is called Aganorsa Cigars. My name is Fabien. I am the master of disaster for Aganorsa Cigars. We are the smallest, largest company you've never heard of. Okay, and you're like, this guy's not talking sense.
No, keep going.
Okay, all right. Largest, well, I'll go why we're the smallest. The smallest because still our cigar lines are very boutique-y. What you're smoking right now is the JFR Maduro 6x60 Titan. It is our #1 selling cigar in the whole U.S. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I'm smoking the new Cuba Superior, a little mild with a little bit of sweetness, but small because our brand's very boutique-y. But largest because we are the largest grower of tobacco in Nicaragua.
Okay.
In the whole tobacco industry, we're #2. #1 is a company called Plasencia, but Plasencia grows tobacco in Nicaragua and in Honduras. But for today, we're only talking about Nicaragua, and Plasencia is 3rd in Nicaragua. Aganorsa is #1. So yeah, #1. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. So to our listening crowd of the Edge of Jazz community,
Okay.
when we talk about these cigars, how do they approach it, and what do they expect when it comes to learning how to enjoy them?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Most people who like jazz, they like smooth vibes, right? Smooth vibes. That's what jazz is all about, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Our cigars are very, very smooth and very earthy. And the reason being is we ferment our tobacco the old days, the old Cuban ways. They taught us everything here in Nicaragua. Our owner of Aganorsa is actually a Cuban, and he brought over all his Cuban friends that used to work in the Cuban market. So we're doing it very, very Cuban-like. And because we do it very, very Cuban-like, the tobacco is very, very smooth. We ferment it, we let time do its thing. We are the tobacco whisperers. And what do I mean by that? We listen to the tobacco and we wait for the tobacco to tell us we're ready to be used. We're never the guy talking over to the tobacco go, tomorrow you better be ready. We're gonna start rolling cigars with you tomorrow. You better be ready. No, we're like, listen, if you need a little more time, take your time because we all about smooth. So any Aganorsa cigar that you grab, whether it's the validation line, at the anniversario line, the JFR, the New Cuba, the Garden of the Farm, any of that stuff, you are going to get some smooth cigars. That's what we're known for.
So Aganorsa, is that like a strain?
No. So Aganorsa is actually an acronym. It's a lot faster, a lot easier to say our name because if you wanted me to say the whole name of the farm, it's Agricola Granadera Norca S.A., but it's a lot easier to say Aganorsa.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't a strain, but it is a product that you guys grow.
It is a product. It is tobacco. We grow tobacco. We're the largest, and we not only grow a lot of tobacco and we use the fine tobaccos for our cigars, but we also sell some of our tobaccos to other bigger companies that make more cigars. Companies like Altadis USA that uses it in their Monte Cristo line, Romeo and Juliet line, H. Upman line. We sell some tobacco to the Drew Estate Company, which right now is the biggest company right now. But Drew Estate, whether you smoke the Drew Estate Acids, the Undercrowns, or the Liga Privadas, they have some of our tobaccos. We sell tobacco to J.C. Newman Fuente, so if you smoke Brickhouse or some of their Fuente products, that also makes Ashton. Whether they tell you or they don't tell you, there's at least one leaf of Nicaraguan in their cigars, so that's our tobacco. And then we also sell tobacco to Padron, and Padron is a very well-known cigar company. And for the last 20 years, we've been either selling in binder or wrapper, which is the outside leaf or the leaf right underneath the outside. So we're known. Our tobacco has been around for 30 years. Our cigar brands have only been around for about 8 to 10 years. So we're still growing. But people who get their hands on Aganorsas, they're really enjoying that stuff, and they like the smoothness. So this is the perfect pairing over here, jazz and Aganorsa.
Well, all right.
It's all about smooth.
Well, I feel privileged to be a part of Aganorsa. We are the Edge of Jazz right here in Ogden, in Salt Lake City, Utah, out of Ogden, and we are here at the Behive Cigar store right here on 3rd. You can't miss us. You can smell us and just follow the aroma right on in to some of the best cigars that you could buy here in the city of Utah. I have a question to ask you.
That was a statement, by the way. That wasn't a question.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Thank you for my correcting me.
Okay.
Fermentation.
Yes.
How do you ferment tobacco?
Okay, so very carefully. So the way it is a tobacco plant. First of all, a tobacco plant is very aggressive towards the soil. It grabs a lot of nutrients from the soil, and that's how you get some of the flavors, right? So that's that. And then after 6 months or 4 to 5 months, they start taking the leaves off the plant, and the leaves are green. And then they air cure them in barns, and then in a slow process of 30 to 45 days, then those leaves turn from green to light golden brown, and then is the key. That's when we start the fermentation process. So I'm going to tell you a little secret. Should I whisper, or
Well, you could whisper it to the world.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm going to whisper to the world. Okay, all right. So we are the only manufacturer in what the people in what they call the New World. Okay. So if outside of the U.S., the U.S. is the #1 consuming cigar country in the world, and then the rest of the world, of course, they can buy Cuban cigars and they smoke Cuban cigars and all that stuff, but because of the embargo with Cuba and the U.S., Cubans are illegal in the U.S. So the rest of the world calls Nicaragua, Dominican, and Honduran cigars New World.
Okay.
Because Cuba's been around for close to 400 years. Dominican's been around for about 170 years, 160 years. Nicaragua's been around for about 60 some years, and Honduras has been around for about 45 years. So still New World. All right. So now I'm only talking about New World. Out of all the companies, and I'm not here to tell you that I've been to every single manufacturer, but I've been to 5 manufacturers in Nicaragua, I've been to 3 in the Dominican, and I've been to 2 in the Honduran, and I've even been to 1 in Cuba. So I can honestly tell you that we are the only one in the New World that does it this way. Now, I've teased it long enough, now I'm going to tell you the secret. The secret is no water. Okay. Water is the enemy to tobacco in our mind, and I'll go back to it, and I'll tell you why, right? So most companies, imagine we go in your van over here and we're down in Nicaragua or the Dominican, and then we stop by a cigar factory and you see this big pallone of tobacco. And a pallone is about 10,000 pounds of tobacco, just made out of bunches of leaves, which is one bunch is 50 leaves. And the average pallone is probably the same size as like your average sedan car. Okay. I mean, it's pretty big, right? Okay. And there's a big meat thermometer that sticks in the middle of it because they pay attention to the temperature. And they'll tell you there's a chart, and they'll go, hey, you know what? This pallone gets to about 125 to 135 degrees, and then right when it gets to that amount of time, then that's a very special time, because that's when they deconstruct the pallone, so bunch by bunch, and they reconstruct it next to it. And what you will see is they will either spray that bunch of leaves with water, or they will dunk those bunches of tobacco in buckets, bring the water out, and then reconstruct the pallone right next to it.
Okay.
That's done in every single company.
So they manually rehydrate it.
They manually do it, and the water creates more heat, so the pallone gets hotter.
Okay.
Now we get in your magic bus over here, and then we get to Aganorsa, and we go back in there, and I bring you to Aganorsa, and you'll see the same pallone, okay? And then I'll show you the same meat thermometer, and I'll tell you, hey, these pallones only get to about 112 to 115 degrees. So right off the bat, it's 10 to 15 degrees lower than all the other places. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're a smart guy. You're like, well, wait a second. It looks exactly the same. What's the difference? And then I'll tell you, look around. Look, they're deconstructing a pallone and they're reconstructing it. And what you will see is that while they're deconstructing that pallone and rebuilding it next to it, they're not spraying it down with water. They're not dunking it in water. They're just airing it out and then doing it. So you're like, well, how does water affect tobacco? Let's get real personal. I just met you like 7 minutes ago, but I feel like getting real personal with you. Mm-hmm. Is that all right?
Well, long as we don't go beneath the clothing.
Okay, well, I am going to go below the clothing, because, Godfrey, you take a shower every day, yeah. or at least 3 or 4 times a week, right? I take a shower 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes every day if I have to go to work. What happens in the shower? I don't really want to know, but I'll tell you. You're washing the oils off your skin. Mm-hmm. You're washing the smells off your skin, okay? So when you introduce water to the tobacco leaf, you have a chance of the water mixing with the oil on the leaves, and then when they wring them out, you have a chance of that to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. And as we're sitting here smoking cigars, the flavors you get are directly correlated with the oils on the leaves. So in our aspect, because we never add water to it, we don't necessarily let any of the oils leave.
Okay.
The other aspect of it, because our polones aren't as hot as all the other polones, all the other company, their fermentation process is about 9 to 12 months. Our fermentation process takes at least 2 years because it's a lot slower, not as hot. When it gets real hot, you also have a secondary chance of burning off some of those oils, hence burning off some of those flavors. So at Aganorsa, we do it very special, and that's the way we do it very specially. So in a sense, when you describe a cigar, there's two major scales, right? You have the strength scale, which is directly correlated with nicotine and how strong the cigar is. Mm-hmm. And then you have the flavor scale, which is how much flavor you get. At Aganorsa, we do our tobacco on the flavor aspect, not the nicotine level. On that flavor aspect, we have no such thing as mild flavored cigars because all our leaves still has all those oils. So our tobacco start at medium. Some people even say medium plus. So we have medium plus full flavored cigars, and of course we make mild body, we make medium body, we make full body. So that's the cool thing with Aganorsa is when you smoke an Aganorsa cigar, you're going to get a lot of flavor from any cigar that you grab.
So the aging process versus the fermentation process, it takes about 2 years.
No. Fermentation is fermentation.
Okay.
And then once the tobacco is, remember I told you how we're the tobacco whisperer? Yeah. We're letting the tobacco tell us, oh, we're done with the fermentation. So then we take them out of the fermentation, and then that's when we put the tobacco in bales, and then that's when you age. For us, fermentation is completely different than aging. Fermentation is the process of burning off all the ammonia-like flavors, making the leaves very shiny, very oily. That's the fermentation process. And then you have the aging process. And that's another thing that separates us from all the other companies. And some other companies will tell you, oh, this is 4, 5, 8, 25-year age tobacco. But they include that fermentation year as 1 year. For us, when I tell you this tobacco is 5 years old, yeah. It's 5 years old after the 2 years of fermentation. So technically that tobacco is 7 years age. But we don't call the fermentation, those 2 years of fermentation, we don't add that into the aging of the cigars.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like how wine that has a name, it might have a percentage of that particular grape.
Yep.
But it might not be 100%, but if you got 50% of it, they can call that grape.
Yep.
Now, how does that apply to our tobacco? Does the tobacco have to be all of the same tobacco, or can it be a percentage to make a difference?
No. So here's the thing: you use tobaccos from all different countries, from different regions. Yeah. You never really want to make a cigar using tobacco from one plant, from one farm, because that gives you a one-dimensional cigar.
Yeah.
And you want a well-balanced cigar. You want a cigar that hits all your flavor palettes in your mouth. If you use one specific tobacco plant, one farm, it's only going to affect one part of your mouth, right? Now, there's a weird law in the tobacco bylaws in Nicaragua that I could buy tobacco from any other country, and if I age it for at least 2 years, that tobacco becomes Nicaraguan tobacco. Meaning, I could buy beautiful San Andreas Maduro, Mexican Maduro, from Mexico, import it, and if I age it for 2 years, that tobacco suddenly becomes Nicaraguan and not Mexican.
Of the environment?
It's some weird bylaw that Nicaragua has, this and that, whatever, because they like to tell, hey, these are all Nicaraguan cigars, this and that, whatever. For us, it doesn't really matter. All our Maduros are from San Andreas, so Mexican Maduro. All our Connecticut's are from Ecuador, Connecticut. But all our Corojos are 100% Nicaraguan from our farms. So if you buy an Aganorsa Corojo, whether it's a validation, whether it's an anniversario, whether it's a signature, whether it's a rare leaf, it's 100% Nicaraguan, and you're going to get a little bit of spice. You're going to get a little earthy tones. I mean, beautiful. And I'll translate it to in another way. Jazz. People who like jazz. There's a lot of steak eaters, right? They eat steak.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you go to your favorite steakhouse, okay, all right, and then you order your steak. Sometimes you order your steak, right? So if you just like your steak like that, then you're gonna be a guy who's gonna really enjoy our Connecticut's, okay? But sometimes you're feeling like a little sweet. You want the little béarnaise sauce, you know, whatever. So you get that béarnaise sauce. So if that's the case, if you like the steak with a béarnaise sauce, then I push you towards any of our Aganorsa Maduros, because the Maduro is going to give you a little natural sweetness. But then sometimes you're feeling a little spicy and you want that peppercorn rub or that peppercorn sauce. And if you're that person, then I would put you towards any Aganorsa Corojo, because the Corojo will give you that little bit of spice and that little earthy tone, and that's where you get that little umph. But it's not a fake strength, it's more on the flavor aspect. Doesn't mean that the Corojo is any stronger than the Maduro, it just means that it has more of the spice and earthy aspects, whereas the Maduro has that spice aspect.
Well, listen, for those who are listening to us right now, you're listening to The Edge of Jazz with Godfrey Bay, and we're interviewing Mr. Fabien Zigler of the...
And we got Kendrick over here. He just walked by the camera. Yo, Kendrick.
that's right.
Kendrick is the man right here. Kendrick, come on. Tell everybody.
Pull up a seat.
Behive Cigars is this guy's brainchild. Okay, so come down.
How you doing, buddy?
Edge of Jazz. You come down. We're on the street over here. I don't know what street. I'll let him tell you.
300 West.
300 West. There's a big sign that says Cigars. You come into Behive Cigars. You want to tell Kendrick, yo, Kendrick, I saw you Edge of Jazz. My man Godfrey over here. I'm preaching. It's Sunday. I'm preaching the Aganorsa. That's right. Well, we're all about this. That's
Preaching
right.
us the gospel.
Preaching us the gospel of the leaf. That's right.
Cigars.
Yes, there you go. Yes. Yeah.
Cigars.
So Kendrick, invite all the Edge of Jazz people all over here, and you know, it's a great little hidden gem. It's not necessarily so hidden, but it's a gem. But I mean, it's an amazing place over here. You like cigars, you're in the Salt Lake City Valley. You don't have to order your cigars from nowhere else. You just can drive down here. They have a huge selection of all the cigars. But I would appreciate it if you actually come here and you ask for Aganorsa cigars, right? So just don't come here and buy any random cigar. Buy Aganorsa cigars, right, Kendrick?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're all about Aganora. Aganorsa?
Aganorsa.
We're all about Aganorsa.
That's right. Preach, Godfrey, preach.
Don't get me started now, because I'll be getting the jig up in here.
Okay, all right.
But I'm going to keep it on the jazz page. This gentleman here, I'm going to tell you, he must have been born in a hurricane. He could talk very windy.
I'm just so excited.
No, I'm glad.
And it's hot in here, and I'm melting. I need to go back in the humidor here. It's a little too dry for me. You know, I'm from Miami. I mean, you know, I'm hearing my skin crack over here because of the dryness.
Yeah, Utah is a dry state.
Yes.
And speaking
in
of
many ways.
And because it's a dry state, these cigars, how do you maintain them when you buy them? What's a good way to keep them fresh and enjoyable?
Well, after you buy them, you know, put them in a Ziploc bag with a little humipack, and keep them at the right humidity until you're ready to smoke them.
And then if you buy a whole bunch, they have my phone number. Ask for my phone number, Fabien. Ask for my phone number, and then I'll come over to your house and I'll help you smoke them.
You can't be dead. That way
right.
they won't go to waste.
That's right. I'm sure Godfrey's on that train too over here. Hey, give him your phone number, call Edge of Jazz.
That's
Edge
right.
of Jazz is going to do a podcast straight from your house,
That's
and
right.
he's going to smoke your cigars.
And we're going to talk about the good times and how good this flavor is.
That's right.
For those who've never smoked cigars before, how do they approach it? How do they find a way to enjoy cigars?
You just gotta jump in, pick a starting point, and go from there. Now, there are some things that you can do to kind of increase your odds of hitting the right spot right out of the get-go, and that's by thinking about your tastes with other things like coffee or liquor, for example. If you're a black coffee drinker, there are cigars that probably are going to match your flavor palette more. If you're a latte drinker, we got some other cigars that probably are going to match your palate more. But really, it's just an exploratory process. You just jump in and find something that you like, or sometimes something that you don't like can be as equally informative.
You know, when we look at human beings, they're carbonites and carbonadians, so to speak, and they've been smoking cigars for hundreds of years, but they've never been able to approach them. So the best way to approach them is to come down here to the Behive Cigar and
talk to one of our tobacconists. They're well trained in all things tobacco. They know all the different leaves and the qualities that they have. And speaking of Aganorsa, their portfolio is vast. I guarantee you there's multiple cigars in their portfolio that you're going to enjoy.
And they have a website?
Absolutely.
AgnorSalif.com. You'll have a description of all our cigars. Now, we do not sell to the end consumer.
Right.
We are very big in brick and mortar sales. So Behive, you have a website?
Of course.
So Behive, if you live somewhere in the mountains in Utah, you go on the Behive cigar. Was it BehiveCigars.com?
Correct.
BehiveCigars.com. They'll ship you the cigars over here. And if you order your cigars before noon, they'll get it to you before 4. So you know by the time you ski down the hill, they'll be waiting for you at the ski lodge. So you're ready for your afternoon little martini with your cigar. I don't know about that, but that's a lot of pressure.
Well, yeah. Thanks for making all these promises.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know, the Edge of Jazz listening crowd, we want to let you know this will be podcasted. Please enjoy it. You can always reach. We'll make sure that the websites are available at the bottom of the screen. We're going to take a pause for the calls and play some more jazz and let this man wet his palate, but we'll be back.
Smooth, baby, smooth.